Now that we have the module enabled, we can configure the fields for our content type. I'm going to go to Structure, Content Types, Review, Manage Fields, and now we'll add a new field. If we go to our mockups, this will tell us what we should be naming our fields. We have funness, giftability, and weirdness. Who wouldn't want to start with funness? Okay, there we go. The label here, under field type, let's select 5-star rating. And for our widget, let's select stars rated while editing. Now, 5-star can be used to allow users to vote for particular content, but in this case, we only want our contributors to be able to rate on these levels. In the future, we may want to open it up to everybody to rate, but for now, it's just going to be contributors, so we want to rate it during the editing process and not during the viewing process. We'll use the stars selector instead of the select list, which will just show us a list of numbers. Stars are much more fun to click. And we'll click Save. Okay, now this brings up something we haven't addressed. This explains that there's a voting tag associated with this particular field. If we read the description, it says the tag this rating will affect, enter a property on which this rating will affect, such as quality, satisfaction, and so on. But we only have one option here, which is vote. Now, because we're going to have multiple types of rating on this piece of content, we need new voting tags for each one of those in order to associate those different votes to separate qualities in the database. So we now need to figure out how to add new tags. There are a couple ways we can approach trying to find out where we're supposed to add these tags. The first is to read the help or the instructions in regards to this module. That's a great place to start. But if you're like me, you probably want to find the actual form and see if you can figure out what's going on from there. I'm going to use coffee. Again, this is what pops up this ability to search the menu tree through this input. And I'm going to type in 5-star. And you see we have admin config content 5-star. And I'll click on that. And here we have a setting for voting tags. So it says choose the voting tags that will be available for node rating. And we can separate multiple tags with commas. So we have vote, but let's add our 3 rating criteria here as well. We'll ignore the fact for now that our spell check thinks we're making up new words here. I'll click Save Configuration, and it says your settings have been saved. So now hopefully we can go back to add our field and select the tag that we want for the particular field. So I'm going to go to Structure, Content Types, Review, and Manage Fields again. Okay, we have our funness field already. Let's click Edit in order to modify it. At the very bottom, you see our funness field settings where our voting tag is, and we can change this now to match up to say funness. We're not going to require the field, even though we expect that most people will be rating on every category, but in the future, we may want to allow just ratings on certain criteria for particular types of GIFs that are clearly not weird or fun. Under help text, I'll go ahead and put how fun is this gift? Under star display options, we're going to select the oxygen one because it has the nicest looking stars. If we scroll down, we'll select the number of stars. To match up with our wireframes, we need to have 10. So I'll select 10, and we want to check allow users to cancel their ratings. Now the reason why we wouldn't want people to cancel their ratings is if they rated it once and we considered it a final vote. But this is a contributor that's creating this content, and we want them to be able to back up their opinion, or at least if they're testing, be able to undo what they tested. We already have our tag set, and let's click Save Settings.